So I'm here together with Daryl van Arkel, a valued partner of ours all the way out of South Africa. I'll introduce him to you later. Thank you as well, Cinda, for hosting another great event here in Valencia this time. And also special thanks to Kim in allowing us to sponsor this event with a little Dutch twist, in that we wanted to bring a new tradition, basically, to the industry, to this event, by bringing you a little bit of a Dutch commuting habit. And so we're sponsoring the bike ride later on. More on that later. So thank you for allowing us to do that, Kim. So basically, before introducing Daryl further, I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about NavVets while we sponsor the event. Let me see. So many of you know us probably as a leader in publishing business location content in maps. And basically, in our 10 years of experience and existence, we have a true map maker DNA. And as such, we highly regard indisputable location data quality. And that's our DNA, and that's our core asset of our company. Every day we work hard with a very talented and ever-increasing team of people covering our vision and helping our vision in making location data better globally, and easing the life of millions of consumers and also their safety. Having grown our managed listings in the past 18 months with about 400%, that basically confirms and echoes the increasing impact we have on that consumer market. And also, another few highlights is that obviously we are recognized for that quality, specifically by some major global search engines and platforms. And most recently, we signed up companies like Waze, Uber, and Facebook very recently. So very pleased with that. These platforms define basically our future and the future of search. The need for the highest level of location data quality is also ever increasing in this future. And whether, think about voice-enabled search, think about autonomous cars, and many other use cases for which hyper-accurate location content is of crucial importance. Also, very proud to announce that we've been awarded with the Deloitte award for one of the 25 fastest growing companies in tech in the Netherlands. Great confirmation of what we do is the right way. So very happy with that. Basically, to our partners, what we do, we have an empowerment strategy, very much focused on partner orientation, and we bring the world indisputable data quality. It's basically something we cannot do alone. We have to do that together with you. And to that extent, we've invested significantly over the past 2 years, not only in our human capital, but also in our quality processes, quality rigid in general, technology, and API services, allowing you to much more easily integrate our services in your backend. So we support you with scalability in terms of volume of listings, and obviously we enable you to extend your services on a global scale, because everything we do that truly globally. So that's a bit of a summary of where NavVets stands today and what ride we've been enjoying. I think the industry has enjoyed a great, very significant innovation renaissance, and I'm very, very proud that we as NavVets are part of that together with you. So very good. Right now it's time to introduce to you Daryl van Arkel, again, as I mentioned, MD and founder of BPS as well as Vicinity Media, based out of South Africa, very valued business partner of ours. And he's got a tremendous background in digital, knows a lot about the African market, so I figured it would be great to get you acquainted with some of the characteristics of that market, some of the challenges and opportunities you see in the African market. So please welcome me in joining Daryl.
Change over here. Whilst we wait for my presentation to come up, can I get some smiling faces, please? I promised my team I'd take some photos, so I thought the best opportunity would be right up front, where I can see all of you. So I hope there's no opposition to your picture being on LinkedIn, because it's just landed. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Lex, for the introduction. Thanks, NavAds, for hosting me. So, as Lex mentioned briefly, a little bit of a bio on myself. Bit of a seasoned entrepreneur. I've founded kind of 4 or 5 businesses in the last as many years. In the media ad tech space, very much focused on location. Almost a decade bringing to market digital location-based advertising solutions. I've basically been involved with all of these companies, from Telmap to Navtech to Waze to TomTom, etc., etc. I was having some good discussions last night about some of the old heady days of these new technologies kind of entering the market, and the promises we made to people in the early days. But it seems like location is finally coming of age, which is quite exciting. So today I spend a lot of my time, most of my time, as CEO of Vicinity Media, which is a location-based mobile ad network, and I sit on the board of Business Positioning Systems, which I'm a co-founder of, and Gorilla, which is another media company. Cool, so just a quick introduction to BPS. We don't want to kill you with PowerPoint here, guys. I see you're almost dead, so hopefully I'm not going to completely kill you. So what's BPS? We're South Africa's leading location-based search agency. We were formed in 2008 to commercialize points of interest on navigation devices. We now focus very much on increasing clients' local search visibility across these digital platforms and providing ROI. So these are essentially, excuse the fonts, that computer has just killed some of my fonts, which I'm disappointed about. What we offer in the market is a very rigorous 4-tier data cleansing process, what we call a location bank, where we secure clients' location data centrally, Gauge, where we monitor the ROI and the analytics that they're getting from their locations, Boost, which basically boosts those listings and gets them more visibility. And then things you'll see generally in the market, like reputational management, social management, campaign integration, etc. So yeah, our location bank product is almost powered by NavAds. We kind of look after Google. We see our kind of core has become Google over the years, and now we outsource to NavAds to get us more publishers and into more places a lot more seamlessly. You'll see in a moment why we need to focus on data cleansing in Africa. I've got an interesting kind of case study. So numerous blue chip companies across the UK and Africa have appointed us, and in the past and in the future, as custodians of their digital footprint. These are just some of the brands that we've worked with. We continue to have a very impressive client list, and yeah, very proud of what we do. So South Africa in a nutshell. I know there are a couple of South Africans here, but from kind of our perspective, I'm not going to go into politics, as we know that can be a little bit thorny. So mobile is king in South Africa and Africa. About 60% of the market accesses the internet through their mobile device. In terms of ad spend, TV is still leading the way in South Africa in a big way, with about 43% of the market. Print is declining like in most places, but still 20% of the market almost. Radio has 13%. Digital is growing quite nicely, which is quite exciting for us over there. Okay, in terms of that ad spend, 65% of the ad spend is basically spent by retail, FMCG, and finance. And Shoprite Holdings is a big retail business, and they account for 1.4 billion rand worth of spend, which is almost 100 million euros a year. Just some interesting facts about retail, because we're quite, retail is important to us. You can see from this pie chart, 75% of the market is made up of just 4 retail groups. Yeah, and the figures there are in billions of rands. That's turnover. What's also interesting is to see the store numbers. So what you can see there, Shoprite, with about 2,500 stores, manages to kind of pull out the majority of the revenue, and they don't have the biggest store footprint, which is quite interesting. So retailers in South Africa, they're pretty traditional. They still believe in the newspaper insert, but they're also innovative in many ways. You know, those two things seem opposing, but they've taken on some interesting things like mobile coupons, mobile payments, bankless or cardless withdrawals and payments, which I'm sure many of you wouldn't be familiar with in kind of the first world, but there is a huge kind of unbanked market that basically has to transact. And Pick n Pay is one of the grocers, big grocers. They're being touted as the first grocer to accept Bitcoin payments, I believe, in the world, which is quite interesting, which they're trialing at the moment. Cool, so managing digital location, some of the challenges we face on the ground in South Africa. I'm going to talk a little bit about a tale of what I like to call a tale of a town and a city. So just to see if you guys are still awake, I wanted to play a game of spot the difference. So here's a town called Thohoyandou, up in, if any of you can pronounce it, I'll buy you a bottle of whiskey later. Just take a look at this. Can you guys see the screen? See the screen? You see the screen? Okay, just remember that that town. That's another shot of Thohoyandou. Okay, that's Sandton in Johannesburg. Anyone spot the difference? Shall I go back to Thohoyandou? Anyone? So what you'll see is Thohoyandou is the town that basically has no street names. I think U2 wrote a song about this place, you know. So it makes it quite interesting when you're trying to map retailers in a town with no names. You know, you will not find this kind of anomaly in the Western world. So these are the kind of challenges that we have to kind of face. Cool, so essentially South Africa is a collision of the first world and the third world, or the developed and the developing world, whichever way you want to kind of look at it. So this is Sandton, glittering kind of skyscrapers, clean streets. You know, you can eat your Burger King off the sidewalk if you like, although I wouldn't advise it. This is Thohoyandou, so very, very different, but Thohoyandou has huge retail representation, so it's by no means kind of a backwater. It is kind of rural-ish, but as you can see, but it does represent, there's a big active kind of retail market going on there. Cool, so what does this mean? You know, getting digital location to mirror the real world is very, very difficult in these situations. You have to approach a problem from a developed world and a developing world mindset. You know, how do you brands want solutions for these two kind of customer sets that are very, very, very different. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, partnership with NavAds has helped us focus on these challenges of data collection and cleansing and performance. So South African retailers and South African brands in general want to know where every penny gets spent. So kind of, what does location matter in our context? So that was kind of the headline of this presentation. So here you have two KFCs, right? You've got KFC Sandton, you've got KFC Thohoyandou. Essentially the same thing, right? Two KFCs. Once you add location, these businesses essentially become completely different businesses. The market, the demographic profile in Thohoyandou, very different. The race breakdown is mainly black African. The gender breakdown is skewed slightly towards female. The age, 25 to 35. The income is quite low. Whereas Sandton, your demographic profile, your race is more of a white race group, 35% black African. The age grouping 18 to 45, gender split is about the same. And income is middle to high. Okay. So what this means from marketers' perspectives, you know, you can't market the same products. In Thohoyandou, this is kind of the more popular meal at the KFC. It's called the Streetwise 2 with pap. If anyone knows what pap is, it's a millie meal based like a mash. Whereas in Sandton, they would sell more products like this. You know, so you've got burgers, crushers, fully loaded meals for kind of guys watching the rugby, etc. So two very, very different markets. On the surface of it, the same store, but very, very different in the way you approach marketing. So, and that's all driven by location. So in summary, don't try and sell paella in Tuyandu. So location matters at the end of the day. For me, who's been in location for kind of going on a decade, it's kind of everything. It dictates where you live, where you work, what you do, your habits. So location says a lot about you, and it's almost unique to you. So I could probably go on all day talking about location, but I'll leave it at that. I'm sure you guys are ready for a coffee. So that's me. Thank you very much.
We have time for, what, does it just not like me, or what is this?
I do have a bone to pick with this gentleman here. He did say my notes would appear on the screen, but they didn't.
But they didn't.
Luckily, I knew my presentation.
Oh, but it was great. What do you do when there's no street names there? I just
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
So we've had to resort to phoning the store, which has also poses a big challenge. You know, you phone somebody who's working at a KFC and you say, "Hi, we're phoning and we're trying to map your store on Google Maps." Some of these people have never heard of Google Maps, and then you try and then they'll direct you by landmark. They'll say,
yeah.
"Well, we are next to this and over the road from that." You know, so once you get an anchor, exactly, correct. So once you anchored to a landmark, then you can kind of solve that problem. But very time consuming, man-hour heavy, obviously. Yeah, we can't just plug that into technology and just solve the problem.
Yeah. I'd like to open to questions. Any questions?
No one wants to know what pap is.
I do.
That's all good.
Well, you're joining us this evening
Thank you.
and later too. So thank you. That
Perfect.
was really great. Thank you
you
very much. And